you just want to take a seat. And as you're taking a seat, do you want to turn to your neighbor and let them know God has called you to be rebellious? And then you reply, then let's be rebellious together. There you go. Awesome. As you might have guessed, we are back in a series of Holy Rebellion. And I want to carry on going through the book of Daniel to see how we can effectively be rebellious in this world. Right? And so for some of you who maybe have not heard much of this series yet, the whole premise is that God has called us to be counter-cultural. He has called us to basically what the culture says we should be. Usually the Bible says to be the opposite. And so we're called to, in a holy way, go against our culture and go in the kingdom of God ways. Right? And so some examples of what culture might say. Right? Culture might say, the best thing to do on a Saturday night is to go partying because then you've got all Sunday to recover. Jesus says, best thing to do on a Saturday night is to get ready for church, to make sure you're there, right? When culture says, these people that are so annoying, let's talk crap about them, and hopefully they'll just not bother us anymore. Jesus says, let's love on them more, right? And so I want to carry on in the book of Daniel about how we can effectively be rebellious. And going off of what I told you to tell each other this morning, and the title, you might have guessed correctly if you'd guessed that we're going to talk about community, and we're going to talk about holy friendships and about godly friends, right? And what it means to have godly friends and the importance of that. To do so, I think a great place to look at it will be Daniel chapter 3. Right? Daniel chapter 3. So for context, what has happened so far? We've got Daniel and his three mates, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have basically gone, did I say it wrong? Abednego. Abednego. Yeah, there we go. So his three mates, basically there's this whole thing where they've been taken into slavery. Now, their slavery, them being enslaved, looks a bit different than what you might imagine. Their version of slavery isn't like being poor and all this kind of stuff. These four men are actually quite all right. They've been educated because they're the best and the brightest in Israel. So Nebuchadnezzar has taken them and educated them and given them positions of power and authority. And so in some ways, they're quite well off. But in other ways, they're still enslaved. And we see this when King Nebuchadnezzar builds a golden statue. And he builds this golden statue and he says, when you hear the sound of all the trumpets and the drums and the acoustic guitars and the electric guitars, you will bow down to my statue. And at that point, there's a choice to be made. And so what happens is, obviously the statue is built. The king invites all the governors, all the people in government and the administrators and all these important people to stand in front of this statue and await the signal to bow down to it. Now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're like homies, right? If they were three girls, they might be three besties, all right? And so we have these three besties hanging out. And they're probably wondering what is going on. Why is there this massive statue right here? And then the announcement is made. You're going to need to bow to this statue. And them, being men of God, decide that they're not going to do it. And now I'm kind of imagining, what did that interaction look like? Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like if someone told me, hey, we've got to bow in front of this statue. Now, in this day and age, I'd probably go, if I dressed up Sheila in my own clothing and said to all of you, when I start singing, you will all bow down to Sheila, who represents me. You probably wouldn't bow down to Sheila, right? And the reason that it's a bit different in this case is because Nebuchadnezzar has a massive furnace. I don't. so you probably wouldn't bow down to it. But, so that's the scenario. If you don't bow down, you get thrown into this massive furnace. And I'm just thinking, what would that interaction look like, right? Because if I was there, I'd probably like look around at my besties and go, oh, we're not bowing, are we? We're not. And then the other would go, I'm not gonna if you're not gonna. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's make sure. And then they're like, okay, cool. You know, it's like, has your parent ever said this to you? You know, after you've done something really stupid and you say, well, my mate did it, so I did it as well. And then your mum goes, well, if your mate told you to jump off a cliff, would you? Right? Yeah, right? Well, so let me tell you a story about when me and Liam were in Portugal. And we climbed up a really relatively tall cliff that overlooked the sea. Well, to cut a long story short, if my mate told me to jump off a cliff, apparently me and Liam would. Right? I remember this, we went up there and it was quite high. Like, do you know what I mean? You look from it on the side and it's not that bad, but once you're up there, it looks quite bad. And so we were kind of overlooking it and we were thinking, I don't know, maybe the tide is too far out, there might be some rocks at the bottom, do you know what I mean? It's a bit dodgy. And then this other group of lads came across, clearly a bit more adventurous than we were in that moment. And one of them goes, go on, mate, jump in, find out whether it's deep enough. And this kid, no hesitation, just runs and jumps. And at that point, me and Liam kind of look at each other and go, yeah, go on then. And so we both jumped, right? But we didn't jump until we knew that, well, it was all right down there, right? Not only that, if I was by myself, I'll be honest with you, I probably wouldn't have jumped. Why? Because I got to see Liam go. And when I saw that he was all right down there, I thought, okay, I'll be all right, right? And the reason Liam went was probably because he's a bit nuts, but also he knew that I was up there. And so if he didn't come up, there'd be someone there to do something, right? Not jump in, yeah, probably get some help, right? But if I was by myself, I probably wouldn't have jumped. And so I'm looking at these three guys, and I'm certain that as they were standing in front of this statue, it very much was a case of, we're not doing that, right? We're not doing. I can assume they probably didn't even speak out loud. They just had that, that look, like, we're gonna rebel in this moment. And so I was thinking, well, would they have stayed standing if they were by themselves? Because that's an interesting question, right? Would they have still stood when they were by themselves? And so this is what I kind of want to talk about. How strong really are we when we try and walk with God individually? Right? I mean, how far can we go by ourselves? You see, there's this thing that I've been learning recently about Christianity, more and more so, is that when Jesus came and died on the cross and established the church, whilst your personal walk with Jesus is really important, what God really established there was a church, a community. The Bible calls us a nation, a family. That's why the apostles referred to each other and other believers as brothers and sisters, right? Brothers and sisters. And so, sorry. So, we do like to talk a lot about our personal walk with Jesus, right? And about me and myself and how I can get closer with God. But Christianity was never designed to be walked by yourself. It was never designed to be an adventure that you go on alone. It was made to be experienced in the context of a community, in the context of a family. Why? Because if one of us jumps and gets hurt, the other's there to pick him up. Why? Because maybe if I'm by myself and there's no one to pick me up, I won't even jump. Right? And so I need more godly friends around me. I need people to come around me so that I can be secure and strong in my faith, so that I can be more rebellious in my faith. So, I asked myself the question, would I have bowed to the statue if I didn't have my friends around me? Now, my answer to that question right now, this moment, would probably be no, I wouldn't. But why would I say that I wouldn't bow to the statue in this moment? Because I have grown up in my faith, surrounded by godly friends. The reason I am in my faith where I am right now is because of my godly friends. Because of people like Darren, because of like Dan's family in this church, who brought me up to be rebellious, to be strong in my faith. But if you ask me the same question 4 years ago, I don't know if I would stay standing. I don't know. I feel like the world would come in and say, yeah, but maybe if you just bow, but while you bow, you just pray. You know, just pretend like you're bowing, but actually pray in your heart, and then you'll survive, and then that means you can go and preach the gospel a bit more before they kill you. All right, I'd make excuses as to why I should conform. I'd make excuses as to why it's okay to bow to the things of this world. But when I'm surrounded by godly friends, the dynamic changes. Because sometimes, I don't know about you, sometimes even to this day, I'm a bit of an Egypt. And so then I have Sophie who will put me in line. And the other way around, right? Sometimes Sophie's a bit of an Egypt. And then I tell Sophie, get a grip. Not always. But sometimes we're both Egypts, and then we need a third person to tell us both to calm down. Right, Darren? Yeah. Or Liam will come in and go, you're both stupid. But can we, like, for you guys in your own personal experience, right? Has there been times when you have gone out into the world and because there was no one around you to tell you better, to tell you, hey, that's not right, you just went and did something really silly? Went the wrong way. And how long does that last before you realize, I am in a pit? Yeah. When you sober up and you realize, man, I just need to be pulled out of this. And judging by the fact that you're sitting here right now, could I throw out a guess that maybe finally a godly friend came along and said, let's pull you out. Come on, let's get up. Come on. Where am I? I should have probably marked Daniel in my Bible, shouldn't I? You see, godly friendships are a blessing from God. Right? I'm going to say again, godly friendships are a blessing from God. They're designed to bless you as an individual. Right? When you have a godly friend, you are blessed. Right? When you have no godly friends, you're in trouble, big trouble. All right? See, an ungodly friend will say to you, we can bin off church tomorrow. Let's have another drink. We'll say, this issue you're struggling with, let's go and have a go at that person together. Right? If they want to start drama, let's start drama together. A bad friend will do things that will draw you away from God. I say that, and you might be already thinking of someone in your head. The trick in this moment is to not look at the person next to you. All right? But a bad friend will draw you away from God. They will lead you in ways that where you start feeling. Can I just say, an ungodly relationship, an ungodly friendship will make you feel guilty when you're in the presence of God. Not because God is making you feel guilty, but the result of that friendship, that relationship, makes you feel like, I know I'm doing wrong. On the other hand, a godly friendship, a godly friend is a friend who says, let's go, it's morning, we've got to go to church. A godly friendship will say, hey, maybe if someone's being a bit of a, let's not go the route of having a go at them. And maybe either remove ourselves from a situation or pray for them or be nice to them, if you want to go even more extreme, right? A godly friend will call you up and go, hey dude, church starts in 5 minutes, where on earth are you? Right? A godly friend will say, dude, I can see you're struggling. Can I pray for you? I see you're going a funny way. How about we talk about it before it's too late? Absolutely, absolutely. And so that's why I'm not saying Christian friends, but godly friends. There's a lot of people in church that will be ungodly friends. Okay? And it happens way too often. And we see it way too often. Where people in the church will draw people away from God. Work that one out. So these are the signs I'm giving you. A godly friend will encourage you to get closer with God. Not just encourage you, a godly friend will actually make you closer with God. Right? One day, if I wake up and I feel like I don't want to go to church today, my godly friend will wake up all energized and say, we're going to meet Jesus. Another day, I'll wake up all energized and my godly friend will go, I'm just so tired. And I will go, let's go. We got to go. Right? We hold each other up because I can't be strong all the time. I can't be rebellious all the time. Sometimes I will give in to this world, and that is when my godly friend swoops in and goes, nope. Yeah, yeah. But we need these friends who will look at us, then look at the fiery furnace and go, let's do this together. Let's do it together through thick and thin. Whether church gets rough, whether relationships get rough, whether the people around us start suffering, and we feel like, I don't know why God isn't acting, and my godly friend steps in and says, we'll be in this together. We'll hold each other up. When you're suffering, I'll be there for you. Who needs a godly friend today? Who needs someone who will be there with you through your walk with God? I know I do. I've already got a couple, great ones as well, that encourage me. I was telling Alex and Miller the other day that their attitude towards God makes me want to be even more like holy. It makes me want to pursue holiness, right? Because they're so after God. They're so desperate to do better. And then I look at myself and I'm like, oh, my friends want to do better. I don't want to be left behind, right? Sometimes we walk away and we need a godly friend to come along and say, hey, let's go through this together. Let me pull you back this way. So where do I get one? Where do I get a godly friend? So the easiest place to find one is going to be in church, right? The easiest place to find a godly friend will be in church. Now, that's where I can find one. But how do I actually get a godly friend, right? So, like we said, go to church, right? A good place to find a good Christian friend who will lead you closer to God is in church, okay? Number 2 is be a godly friend. Be a godly friend. Let me, and this is going to sound relatively harsh, okay? But I take my walk with God quite seriously, okay? And so I've gotten to a point where if someone is going to lead me away from God, I'm not going to be, well, I'll hang out with them. We're not going to be friends, okay? We'll interact with each other, but you're not going to be in my close circle. You're not going to be in the inner circle if you're going to lead me away from God. Okay? Because I've had so many good godly friends, I have learned that the number one priority for me has to be pursuing God. And can I just say, right? If your priority isn't pursuing God, then maybe you've surrounded yourself by too many ungodly friends. Right? If God isn't your priority, then maybe you've surrounded yourself by ungodly friends for too long. So, because I wouldn't, this sounds really bad as if I'm not friends with non-Christians. I've got loads of non-Christian friends. Let's make that clear, right? God calls us to be friends and be around non-Christian people. I'm talking about your inner circle, your best friends, people who you'll stick with through thick and thin. That circle needs to consist of godly friends. And the way let me gather my thoughts. If I want godly friends, I need to be a godly friend, okay? In the same way how I wouldn't let in an ungodly friend, I can't expect a godly person to let me in. Because a godly friend will prioritize following and pursuing God. So, am I a godly friend? That's something we should ask ourselves. Am I a godly friend? Right? Because godly friends are a blessing, like we said. I mean, they make your life so much easier. Right? We already said this. God designed godly friends to be a blessing. A blessing in your life. Who here wants to be blessed? Right? Then you need a godly friend. You need a godly friend. Which means you need to be a godly friend. Where do you start? Where do you start? Prayer. God, make me like you are. Give me your character. But I like practicality, right? Prayer is practical, but I like actual, like action, things that I can do, very specific things that I can do, right? If I want someone to come alongside me and drag me to church on days that I don't want to be in church, I need to be the guy that drags other people along to church, right? Right? Dude, I understand that you might be a bit tired today, but come on, let's go. It's going to be all right. We'll sit together. We'll grab a coffee on the way if we need to. All right? Come on, you can help me out. We can go out, eat something afterwards. Be the friend that checks up on your mate and goes, are you in church today? Come on, let's hang out. During the week, hey dude, how's your week going? Is there anything I can pray for? That's a big one. Man, there's been a couple times when someone has messaged me, is there anything I can pray about for you? I love people like that. I love people that ask me if they can pray for me. Just randomly, they message me, hey, I was just thinking about you. Can I pray for you about something? I love that. It just makes my tummy feel funny.
I think that actually, if somebody is now on your mind, it's because God's telling you to reach out to that person and don't put it aside and think, oh, I'll do it later, but do it in that moment.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes God prompts us to reach out, right? Sometimes, have you ever had that feeling? You know what, this friend just randomly came to mind today. That's from God, and God is saying, message them, reach out to them. Maybe you've not spoken to them for ages, right? Yeah.
Because we were in a situation that we used to be in. Half an hour later, we bumped into them and we really haven't seen them for like 2 years.
And that happens, isn't it? God pushes us to reach out to certain people, and it's because God knows when they need to be reached out to, right? And so if I want people to reach out to me when I'm at my lowest, I'm to be the person that reaches out to other people when they're at their lowest, okay? So that is how we can be godly friends. And so I want this blessing. I want godly friends. Why? Because when things get rough, right? When this metaphorical, in this situation, furnace is put in front of me, and the world is saying, unless you do it our way, things are going to go really bad. Or maybe it's already going really bad. You see, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they didn't bow. They understood that eye contact. They understood, we, the three besties, will not bow. The trio of homies that doesn't bow to the world. And as a result, a group of people comes along and starts snitching. Hey, them three, they're not bound to the statue. So Nebuchadnezzar gets frustrated, and he calls them into his, I'm assuming, throne room, some sort of probably fancy room, and goes, listen, guys, I'm going to read it. Hold on. There we go. Where am I? David chapter 3. Daniel. That's what I said. I said Daniel. Hold on. Does someone already have it? Yeah. Can I borrow your Bible? There we go. Lovely. So, Daniel chapter 3, I'm going to read 15 through 18. There we go. Where's 15? It's really tiny. I'm used to really big ones. There we go. And so this is what Nebuchadnezzar says to them as he calls them into his office. Now, if you are ready, at the time you hear the sound of the horn, flute, harp, lyre, la na 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 na, in symphony, with all kinds of music, and you will fall down and worship the image which I have made, good. But if you do not worship, you shall be cast immediately into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you from my hands? You know what? When we start rebelling against the world, right? When we start actually coming to church, when we start actually following God, the world starts going, oh yeah? Oh yeah? How about we find out how good that God is? I've seen it so many times. People who have gone their own way finally come to church, and for some reason, that's when the devil goes, let's find out how good you do in the church. Right? So many times. Who's the God that will deliver you from my hand? All right, loser. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If that is the case, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known. But if not, if God doesn't deliver us, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the gold image that you have set up. You know what? The story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, it's a cool story. It's a cool story because they go in the furnace and they don't burn, and then Nebuchadnezzar sees God in the furnace with them, right? And they come out untouched, completely fine, and that's cool. But I'll tell you what, I find that moment so much cooler. I mean, this is the guy who is like, he's got the greatest empire in the world right now, right? He is ruling the greatest empire in the world at this moment. And he turns around and goes, I will kill you if you do not bow down to my statue. And they say, oh, dude, bring it on. I mean, my God will save me. But I tell you what, even if he doesn't, I will never bow down to you. Try me. Try me. And you know what? I think the reason they say that is because they knew, you know what? We're in this together now. And God might save us. We hope he will. But even if he doesn't, we're going to go down together. Because you know what, devil? I have finally come to church. I have finally found my way. I am finally finding good, godly friends. Oh, devil, you're trying to try me right now. Devil, you are trying. Oh, I know there's someone in here. There's going to be people in here. The devil's been trying the past week. The devil's been trying the past couple days. Bring it on. Because I have godly friends. If we go down together. But I'll tell you what, we won't go down because my God's better. Because my God's stronger. And I'm not afraid. So, we might now be tempted to look at the devil and go, bring it on. My warning is, only do that if you have godly friends. Right? Too many people trying to fight the devil by themselves. Way too many. But I've got God on my side. That's fine. But you're still weak. And you know what? The devil has his tricks, and he knows how to get past you. Huh? He's older than you. He knows every single trick. Way more tricks than you do. I'll tell you what. Where 3 or more are gathered in his name, the God is there. Should we stand? You've got 2 challenges, and you can pick one. Okay? Challenge number 1. Okay? And this is if you want to take your walk seriously. Because this is serious. There's a person that you've been thinking of throughout this sermon that is a bad friend. Sophie, why are you looking at me? I'm kidding. There's a person, and you know that they will drive you away from God. You have the choice of who you're friends with. Maybe it just needs a harsh measure of, sorry, we can't hang out anymore. Sorry, I am now following the true God. I am now chasing after God. And unless you're coming with me, I'm gonna have to leave you behind. If you can't think of anyone, that's where you go and camp too. This week, your challenge is to be the most godly friend you can possibly be to someone. Yeah? The most godly friend you can be. No matter what's going on, you are a godly friend this week to someone else. Right? And then remember when we said that godly friends are a blessing? If you choose to be in that group number 2, you're about to be a blessing to someone else this week. Right? You're about to bring God's blessing into someone's life by being a godly friend. So what are you going to do? You're going to drag them to church. Dude, you're going to be in church this week. You're coming together. We're going to grab a meal afterwards, right? But you're coming with me. And then during the week, hey, what can I pray for this week? You know, anything. Even if things are all right. What is the thing that you most want prayer for? And if they tell you, I don't know, say, that's fine. I'll pray for your finances. We all love about financial blessing. I'll pray for your health. So that's your 2 options. Is there someone that, in all honesty, you know needs to be out of your life? And number 2, are you going to be the best friend that you can be? A blessing, a godly friend. Right? And don't be the third person who tries to mix the 2. Right? Oh, but I have this friend I shouldn't be friends with. But you know what? I'll be a good friend and I'll bring them to church. I'll turn them into a Christian. Yeah. That won't happen. I don't want to keep going. You're all standing already. But I've seen too many people say, oh, I'll change them. I'll bring them to church. You won't. They'll drag you down with them. Okay? Awesome. I'm excited. We're going to have a real upbeat song, a song of rebellion called Lion. Who knows the song? Yeah. Right? We're going to shout to God. We're going to tell him that he is the Lion of Judah, and together we will stand, because you know what? We're best friends, but we're also in an army, right? And so we will shout like an army as we tell the devil, bring it on. Come on. Jesus, we just pray that you are lifted high, that you are exalted in this moment, Lord. We pray for godly friends. Lord, I pray that you give me that blessing. I want that blessing of a godly friend. I want more of them around me. Loads of them. And Lord, you show me, how can I be a better friend? How can I be a more godly friend? How can I be the person that brings people closer to you? Glory, glory, glory be to you, God, who makes me want to do better, who makes me want to be closer to you. Glory, glory, glory be to you, God, as we go on an adventure to get closer to you. And thank you for all our holy friends, for all our godly friends. Amen.